Good morning, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I've got to share with you that my contemplative time has been all about transcendence. And transcendence is a term that's used by a lot of people these days, and not always with the full understanding of what it means. But I did come across a couple of ideas which really incorporate transcendence or the idea of transcendence. And transcendence also involves a raising of our consciousness, which is what I focus on. So I came across this one quotation by Thomas Merton, which says, "Wherever things have become more important than people, we are in trouble. That is the crux of the whole matter." Wherever things have become more important than people, we are in trouble. That is the crux of the whole matter. So when things are more important than people, so what do we think about that? So I've got to get this done. I've got to get that done. That's something that you're doing, right? So it's an action, or it could be this home is really important to me, and I don't care that someone else is suffering because I've got this home, right? So that sort of idea. Or we might think money is really important to me, and I don't mind that someone else is suffering because I need to make sure I've got my money. Greed falls into this space. Now, none of these things is inherently not good, right? But when it becomes more important than people, so I've got so much to do that I can't communicate with a friend or a family member that's reaching out to me. I'm so busy. That's things have become more important than people, right? So this is important to recognize. And I know that I have said this quotation before, but I wanted to remind you about this because it's so fitting. It's by Pema Chödrön. And this says, "The ego seeks to divide and separate. Spirit seeks to unify and heal." The ego seeks to divide and separate. Spirit seeks to unify and heal. So, of course, I come back to transcendence. And in transcendence, we are linking with a spiritual aspect of ourselves. Or perhaps we can recognize that our human form is our form, and it's the spirit that is the stronger part of this human experience. So this transcendence in psychology, I wanted to read you the quote or the definition of it. And this definition says, "Transcendence refers to the very highest and most inclusive or holistic levels of human consciousness, behaving and relating as ends rather than means to oneself, to significant others, to human beings in general, to other species, to nature, and to the cosmos." So you see how broad that is, right? It's a very expansive view. It's not only to myself, how I am behaving and relating to myself, it's also to others. It's to the environment, it's other human beings, it's to other species, it's to nature, and to the cosmos, right? So this is very inclusive. And as you can see, that would be away from the ego. The ego would want, this is what I have to pay attention to. This is my community, or this is my home, or this is my computer, this is my cell phone, that sort of idea. And when we get expansive, it's about, this is we. So it goes from me to we, right? And I thought this was a very important aspect for me to share with you today because, again, transcendence is something that is a very important detail for me to share with people for whatever reason. I believe it's part of my calling. And I have to say that in terms of transcendence, there is something called self-transcendence too that you might come across. And this is an important aspect in relation to consciousness too. So this says, and this would be any sort of leader that this is talking about. So whether it's managers or bosses, or whether it's a person in their own profession, right? All of these things, or as part of a profession. This says self-transcendent leaders are characterized by a common purpose, a global perspective, and joint responsibility for the fate of the whole organization, identifying with a cause greater than themselves. So this is a whole organization. So this is for leaders that are things like bosses or CEOs, perhaps, right? So lots of people can fall into this, but of course, you are your own boss of your organization, of your life, and all the people that come into your life, right? So this idea of self-transcendence is recognizing that you're thinking of a bigger picture rather than an isolated, narrow-minded view picture. I came across a Dalai Lama quote that I really loved, and it says, "The purpose of life is not to transcend the body, but to embody the transcendent." Okay, so again, it says, "The purpose of life is not to transcend the body, but to embody the transcendent." Does this make sense? So again, a lot of people, and I don't know if any of you have ever practiced transcendental meditation, but I have in the past, and you can transcend the body. You can actually be outside of your body. And yet, that's not the purpose of any type of meditation, even transcendental meditation. The idea is to embody that which is outside of us. There's something outside of us that's also reflecting what's within us. And it's interesting that when I am moving through this process in my own life's journey, I have to say that it's really quite undescribable, this experience of feeling like this connection amongst so much, that the good, the not so good, there's so little judgment about it. There's feelings, right? There's responses. I'm still human. I recognize it and I am aware of it. And then I try to transcend it. And it's always possible when I go into meditation for sure, but living it day to day is also possible. And that's what I want to make sure that you know, because this experience is about getting the most from our life experience, right? So I would wish that for any of us. I thought I'd end today with Rumi's quote. And one of the things that I would love for you to think about is, have you ever had a transcendent experience? Imagine perhaps sometimes you might be a parent, and suddenly something that you really, really like, you want to share with your family instead of just you. Right? There are family members that maybe they even win a small lottery and it's like, I'm going to use this for such and such. And others will say, it's this much. We're going to go for a big family dinner, right? So that sort of idea. It's a slight transcendence from just thinking of me to thinking of we. And I have to tell you that all of us have had these experiences at some time. So imagine if you've seen a beautiful sight. So, of course, Niagara Falls is often an idea that comes to mind. Some people have gone to see the mountains somewhere. Some people have seen beautiful meadows or flower gardens, places. And for a moment, it's just a silent appreciation, right? And imagine if you're having that appreciation day to day in your life experience. And this is possible, I find, as we move into transcendence. So this quotation by Rumi that I'd like to end this video with says, "Spiritual ears and eyes transcend mere sense, while rational ones can only claim pretense." Okay, so once again, spiritual ears and eyes transcend mere sense, while rational ones can only claim pretense. So this is interesting, right? So if I'm thinking with my human mind, I can say, oh, the falls looks beautiful. It's really nice. That's a lot of water, right? All of that, oh, very rational. And spiritual eyes and ears transcend that, where often there are no words, right? And oftentimes we know we're looking at it and noticing the magnificence of it. And this is what we can experience in our day-to-day life experience too. And I would certainly hope and wish that you focus on contemplating some of those things that just take your breath away. I wish you a fabulous day ahead, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.